Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the morning show. It is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. As we prepare to get started, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Click your bell, turn on that notification. That way you don't miss a show. We got a lot to cover today as far as the divisional playoffs. We'll also get into David Montgomery coming back and how that is going to be very beneficial to the Lions. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, quick shout out to the Wrench Gang, the family, and of course, all the listeners and watchers. Welcome to the show. All right. So yesterday, obviously, we had a ton of news in regards to what was going on around the league. But now we need to break things down and get into these divisionals and really dig deep as far as our ideas, what we hear as far as the analysis, and of course, our own personal thoughts and what you guys think as far as what's going to happen. We got some good matchups as we prepare to get started. In the bracket here, obviously, you got the Chiefs, Texans, Bills, Ravens, and then we're getting over to the Lions, Commanders, Eagles, and Rams. So let's go ahead and start here with the Eagles and, of course, the Rams. I think this is going to be a hell of a game here. You've got Jalen Hurts. You've got Matt Stafford coming off of a solid win against the Vikings there. I think with this one, it's definitely going to be battle of the defenses, 100%. Battle of the defenses coming into this one. I think it's going to be a great game. As we get into the spread here, looks like the Eagles are favored by 5.5 at home. The over-under is 43.5, plus 210 on the money line for the Rams and minus 250 on the money line for the Eagles. The Rams record's 10-7, Eagles 14-3. Rams kind of, I want to say snuck in, right? People really weren't paying much attention to the Rams. They weren't really looking at Matt Stafford as still having it in him. And so, definitely showing those Vikings that, yes, Matt Stafford is on a mission to potentially get another Lombardi. On the flip side, right, Jalen Hurts and company with Saquon Barkley, him coming over definitely changed the game. It relieved a lot of the issues that, the Eagles had at running. It also relieved some of the pressure that Jalen Hurts was facing as well by feeling like he had to play Superman and do it all himself. So now you come into this one. Where the Eagles are at home. It's going to be a dogfight for sure. It's hard to get a win in Philly. But let's look at the matchup prediction here. It's 34.6% for the Rams, 65.4% for the Eagles. Then getting into the season leaders, obviously, Matt Stafford, 340 of 517. I don't want these stats. I want the playoff stats. Hold on. You know what? We'll do it this way. I'll make it easy. Come on, ESPN. Get it together. All right, let's go here. All right. So we got a 72.5% QBR for Matt Stafford, 70.4% completion percentage, 209 passing yards with 2 touchdowns. Of course, as far as, 1 interception, his long was 27. He averaged 8.2. So, I think at the end of the day, when you look at the opportunity that Matt Stafford has, you've got Kupp, you've got Nakua, you've got Higbee, Williams on the run. This is a good, solid offense that's working. And the defense as well. I think Durant definitely, we've seen him throughout the season doing good things. But as far as, stepping up in the playoffs, when you want someone to step up in the playoffs, we've seen that. And the pressure from this offensive line from the defensive line, definitely looking to get to the quarterback. Hungry and eating, picking up 9 sacks against, Sam Darnold there. I think this is going to be a very interesting one as far as, this defensive line getting to Jalen Hurts, stopping Saquon Barkley. And it may be, a very different game when it comes to the run for the Eagles. Now, on the flip side, that offensive line for the Eagles, they're no slouch. They give Jalen Hurts plenty of time to make a play. Saquon gets great blocking up front, so he's able to maneuver and he's real shifty, breaking through those gaps. So this is definitely going to be, I think, a little closer than what Vegas is saying with the 5.5. As we get into Jalen Hurts stats. Now, coming into his last playoff game, he had a 62.3% or 62.3 QBR, 61.9% completion percentage. He had 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I mean, you don't really look at the passing yards for Jalen Hurts. You look at the run game, and that's, I think, where Saquon Barkley comes in, he gets 100 yards. A lot of people are really upset about him not getting the touchdown. It's like, well, how can he get 100 yards, but he can't get, he didn't score the touchdown. And, certain instances, you're not going to need the running back to get or score a touchdown, right? Win. Get to the playoffs, win. Get to the championship, win. Hey, if I don't have to score a touchdown for us to win, but I ran my tail off, I did my job. I did exactly what I needed to do. And so I think, looking at Saquon Barkley, they're saying, okay, get us down the field. And as long as we punch it in, you've done your job, even if you don't score. It's a team game. It's a team effort. And so with this one, for me, as far as predictions go, I do think it's going to be a hell of a game. I do think that both offenses are going to be playing their best. But as much as I like the Rams, I just think that Eagles team definitely is going to play strong at home. It's hard to stop Saquon Barkley. So I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles, but not by much. Not by much. I'm going to say by 3. But I really like the Rams. I do. I really like the Rams. I think it's going to be a close one, but I'm going to roll with the Eagles by 3. Shout out to you, Mages. You'll probably end up watching this later. You'll get a kick out of that one, I'm sure. Shout out to you guys. Let me hop in the chat here real quick. Lion Faces, are you going to be live streaming the Chiefs versus Texas games? I heard this bad weather coming to Buffalo at the Bills Stadium. Is that true? So first, yes, I will be streaming all the divisional games. It's going to be hell of a toll. We're doing it for 8 hours on 2 days in a row, but I'm going to be doing it. Bad weather. It's supposed to get cold. I don't know anything about bad weather, but it is supposed to get cold. So that is something that we're paying attention to. I'll tell you this. They say in the next few days it's supposed to be down to like -3, -4, and that's the real temp. It's already cold, and it's nowhere near that. So, it was like 21, feels like 5, 15, feels like 8. And now it's actually going to be, the real temps 3. And then, that's probably going to be a lot worse. It's getting cold, y'all. Yes, it is Western New York. Yes, we should be used to it. But I'm getting older. I'm getting older. I don't want to be cold no more. I don't want to be cold. Shout out to you, Trent. Good morning. Good morning. Shout out to you, Jamie. Good morning to you as well. Darius says, good morning, Jay. Good morning, everyone. Hello. Let's have a good Wednesday today. Amen. Let's go. Amen. Big T in the building. What's up, bro? What's up? Good to see you. Good to see you. Minnesota O-line is elementary compared to Phillies. I don't see LA getting more than 1 sack. I do see them stuffing the run game, though. And yeah, that's why I said that. The offensive line for the Eagles is very strong. Very strong. And I think at this point, having that in the playoffs for Jalen Hurts is going to be the game changer, is going to be the big factor. If I've got all this time in the world in the pocket to make a decision, then I have a higher percentage of making a play. That's obvious. But when you take an elite quarterback like Jalen Hurts and you give him that much time, well, then that creates a bigger opportunity for this team to not only be effective, but to be dominant when it comes to scoring. So, yeah, I do think that if you can stop the run, well, the other option is giving Jalen Hurts the time that he needs to make a play as well, because he can run and he'll, pick up some yards and slide. And as long as they can keep moving the ball down the field, they'll eventually score. And I think that's going to be the problem for the Rams. Can you keep up? Because you don't want to, go into a shootout, in Philadelphia. Or maybe you do, right? Maybe you do want to go into a shootout, because then that would mean, both sides of the defense aren't working. And so best team wins as far as offensively. So I do think both sides have their strengths and weaknesses. But the reality is, when it comes down to looking at the offenses, I think they're fairly even, right? You give the slight edge to the running, but when it comes to wide receiver corps, I think it's about even. I think it's about even. So yeah, like I said, I'll take the Eagles by 3. I haven't had my coffee yet, y'all. It's been a lot going on this morning. I'll take the Eagles by 3, and that's where we are. Like I said, we'll be streaming these games Saturday, Sunday, so make sure you guys are here for it. Shout out TYBK. What up, man? Good to see you. Text 713 says, I'm freezing to death. Tech, listen, I'll tell you this. It was so cold yesterday. We had the obviously the sheet. She's got the really nice sheets, the really what is it? The linen style, you know what I'm saying? The really good ones, really thick, keep you warm. Then the comforter, then the other blanket, and then another blanket. I'm like, and I'm not hot. That's how you know it's cold. It's like 4 blankets, and we got the heat on like 70. I mean, if you're from New York, you know you don't really push the heat past 70. So it was like 4 blankets, and I'm like, oh, I'm not hot. It's really cold, and I got the socks on. I don't like sleeping with the socks on, so it's not good right now, y'all. It's not good. I don't like sleeping with the socks on, and I had the socks on last night. So there you go. It's freezing outside. Who do you see being the Super Bowl? I realize the Commanders has been pretty crazy this year. So, I'm not going to go with what I want to see. I'll go with, my logical side of things here. If I go with my logical side of things here and I set aside the bias, I'm thinking Ravens-Lions. I know how good the Commanders look. I know how good the Eagles look. But if I set aside, my bias and I go with where the logic for me is at, it would be the Ravens-Lions. Now, I'm giving Ravens some credit here because of Lamar and Derrick Henry have the slight advantage. And I say slight advantage because I keep hearing these words of concern and scary and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm not worried. I'm not scared. It's going to be a hell of a game, and it's going to be best team that wins, but it's going to be a fight. This isn't going to be no dominant situation where the Ravens come into Highmark Stadium and they just absolutely obliterate the Bills. That's not going to happen. It's going to be a situation where who makes the first mistake, right? It's going to be a situation where who makes the first mistake. And so as we dive into this one, we might as well do it. I don't think that it's going to be a situation where everyone's sitting there looking at, the score being this complete blowout when the Ravens come into Highmark Stadium. Now, on the flip side, the question mark for me is this. The question mark for me is when you get into the conversation as far as where the Bills are right now are your playmakers going to step up based on the chemistry that you've built over this time? We've seen, what you could do against the Broncos. Okay, can you replicate that performance against the Ravens? Because if you can, well, the narrative changes then. And the narrative changes because everyone right now feels like whoever wins this game goes on to the Super Bowl. That's the narrative right now. Yes, we know Patrick Mahomes, and we understand how great he's been, and he's the Super Bowl champion, and we get it. We respect it. We acknowledge it. But right now, when we talk about fierce competition, because that's what the name of this episode is today, competition, when we look at the competition and when we look at what's on the line and who's hungry for it and who wants it the most right now, the battle is between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So guess what? Whoever wins this game goes on to the championship against, could be the Texans, could be the Chiefs. But if it is the Chiefs, guess what? It's more so the Chiefs being the underdog because out of these two are probably the best teams in the AFC right now. These two teams are the top two best teams in the AFC right now. Now, where you place them is questionable. I do think that the Bills' win over the Broncos was a little bit more significant than the Ravens over the Steelers. But that is subjective because the situation with Russell Wilson and him being out of his prime, and then you got a rookie quarterback who's never been to the playoffs, so let's just call it a wash. Let's call it a wash. But I do think that the Bills win over the Broncos was a little bit more significant than the Steelers because of the expectation that Lamar and Henry have going into that game. So we'll table that there for a moment as I hop into the chat. Says Stafford does not have the arm anymore to get into a shootout. If he goes to a shootout, Philly goes to the predominant shooter. We'll see. We'll see. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and underestimate Matt Stafford. Playoff time, I think it's different. Regular season, right? If he's got to, I think go through the motions to get to the playoffs, it may be too much. But now you're looking at, playoff Matt Stafford, and he's someone that I wouldn't sleep on. I wouldn't sleep on him. Not at all. Shout out to Sassy says, y'all be complaining when you got the warm bodies and pets to keep y'all warm. Stop it. I have a heating pad. Good morning. Shout out to you, Sassy. She's like, stop complaining, Jay. You got a warm body and a whole bunch of blankets, all right? Sassy, it's cold. I ain't even gonna hold. It's cold. It's cold. Just get you one of those body pillows. Get you one, and then as the longer you hold it, the more it'll heat up. Or you could put the heating pad in the body pillow, right? Get that nice, good warmth. Good morning to you, Sassy. I appreciate you. YBK says, I'm really impressed with the Texans this year, just like the Commanders. I believe it'll be some really great games for sure. I do think, all these teams have the opportunity to win. So this is probably one of the most interesting divisional, matchups that we've had in years. And so, coming into these predictions, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. As far as Eagles Rams, like I said, I'm taking the Eagles by 3. But as we get into these Ravens Bills, this is where the conversation's going to get wild. Because we've seen what the Ravens did regular season. And I know y'all love to talk about it. I know that's where y'all want to go. Well, the Ravens did this to the Bills. And, well, the Ravens were at home. They were supposed to win. They were supposed to do what they did. This Bills team was not in the right state. This Bills team had significant injuries, and there was really no chemistry built as far as this organization heading into that time. Well, fast forward to now, the Bills look playoff and championship ready. So the conversation now shifts into, well, who's going to have the best performance of the night? Is it going to be Derrick Henry steamrolling the Bills defense? Is it going to be Josh Allen marching up and down that field with a mix of the pass and the run, getting Cook involved? Who's going to make that significant game-changing play? Is there going to be this ridiculous fumble that happens that nobody expected that gets scooped up and taken to the house? Or is it going to be a pick involved here where somebody, bobbles a ball, it gets picked off, and that changes the momentum of the game? That is what we're looking at when it comes to this. Because you've got so many people out there that's looking to be not only a game changer, but a team player. Both sides understand their role. Both sides understand their commitment to the game. And both sides have a dream right now of getting to the show. Like I said, everyone's saying how these two teams, whoever wins out of this, will go on to win the Super Bowl or potentially play in the Super Bowl. And here we are. Shout out to you, Darth. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's get into it. So the spread, as the Ravens are now favored. The Bills opened favored by 1, and now it's switched to the Ravens favored by 1. And that's why I wanted to wait until today to do these predictions, because I know by Wednesday, Thursday is when they really adjust the lines and have things figured out going into the weekend. So now the Ravens are favored by 1 on the road, heading into Highmark Stadium. The over-under is 51.5. The money line is minus 115. The Bills plus 1, and the money line is minus 105. That shows you right there how close this is, how tight this game will be. And that's why I said what I said earlier in regards to this game being a one play or two play situation that changes everything, right? That one thing or that one situation that happened in this game. And we very well could be talking about that one thing that happened that just changed the whole game going into this one. Matchup predictor, 49.7% for the Ravens, 50.3% for the Bills. I want to get into both performances as far as in their last playoff game. So as we do that, Lamar Jackson, he had an 84.3 QBR, 76.2% on the completion percentage, 175 passing yards, and then 2 touchdowns in these playoffs. Now that's against the Steelers. His long was 49. Yeah, 49. Let's get into this game here. Pull up these stats. Look at his face. Let me get the stats here. Where we at? We're going down. Other side. Come on, Jay. Hurry up. Get it together. All right, 175 yards. He averaged 8.3, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked one time for 10 yards, 84.3 on the QBR. Derrick Henry, 26 carries, 186 yards, 7.2 on the average. He had two touchdowns as well. His long was 44. Lamar was 15 carries of 81 yards. His average was 5.4. Long was 20. We looked at the Steelers defense and what they were able to not do. TJ Watt was not existent in this game. So unfortunately, when we think about the Steelers and what they should have done and how productive, we expected them to be, it wasn't there on either side of the field. And so I look at this a little different, especially when it comes to the run, because the Steel Curtain was supposed to have a good task at, trying to not stop Henry, but at least contain him. And Henry ran out there like a wild man. He was unstoppable. He was smiling as running. And so that tells you all you need to know as far as that goes. But then when we come into Lamar, right, doing his thing, playing his same game. He had 81 yards on the ground. He had 175 in the air. Obviously, Ravens win it 28-14. So then we get into Allen, right? Allen in these playoffs, 87.8 on the QBR, 76.9 on the completion percentage. He had 272 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. We get into this game here with Denver. Pull up the stats. Allen he was 10.5 on the average, 20 of 26. He had 2 sacks for a loss of 11, 87.8 on the QBR. Allen, 8 of 46, 5.8. His average, his long was 9. Cook had 23 carries for 120 yards, 5.2 on the average for 1 touchdown. Bills won 31-7. And that's why I said, when you break down the stats and when you start looking at everything between these two games, you start to say, okay, well, I think that the Bills against the Broncos win was a little bit more significant than the Ravens versus the Steelers. I'm not sure if the Steelers should have even been in the playoffs amongst the Chargers, amongst the Packers. They weren't ready, obviously. So there you go. When you look at those stats, that kind of gives you the tail of the tape as far as where Lamar and Allen stand. And looking forward into this game, who's going to make the mistake? Josh had no picks in the first playoff game, and Allen or Lamar had no picks in the first game. Jackson took 1 sack for 10 yards. Allen took 2 sacks for 11. It's right there. It's neck and neck. Derrick Henry had 186 yards on the run. James Cook had 120 on the run. So let's even look at the receiving corps, right? We look at Isaiah Likely, 3 receptions for 53 yards. Mike Andrews, 2 of 27. Aguilar, 1 for 25. Bateman, 2 for 24. Justice Hill, he had 4 for 13. Miller, 3 for 12. We then get back into the Bills on the receiving side of things. Curtis Samuel, 3 of 68. Khalil Shakir, 6 of 61. Dalton Kincaid, 3 for 47. Dawson Knox, 2 for 38. Ty Johnson, 2 for 26. A lot of people have been talking a lot of garbage as far as, well, Josh Allen ain't gonna be able to throw against that Baltimore defense. Guess what? Josh Allen gonna throw against that Baltimore defense. He's going to throw against that defense because he believes in his wide receivers. He believes in that chemistry he has built. And these guys are team players. Guess what? I can't get it to Samuel. All right, I'm going to get it to Shakir. I can't get it to Shakir. Kincaid's down there. He going to catch the ball. Oh, you got Kincaid locked? We going to get Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox going to make us some plays. Johnson going to get involved. Mac Hollins go. Listen, there's a lot. There is a lot that Josh Allen gets to utilize in this game, and it's going to be very different from what it was in the regular season coming into Highmark Stadium now. This is the payback time. Yes, you beat us. You beat the hell out of us in the beginning of the season. We're not going to let that happen again. You coming into our home, you coming into a different team. I got my defense back. I got this offense working. It's going to be a good one, y'all. I know where y'all want me to go with this, but I ain't going there with it. I'm not going there with it. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now where we're going with this one. They say it's going to be a 1-point game. I don't think it's going to be a 1-point game. I'm taking the Bills by 14. Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yes, I did. I'm taking the Bills by 14 at home. Yes. Don't argue with me about it. Argue with your mama. Talk to your daddy about it, your friends, your family. I'm taking the Bills 14 at home. This is the revenge game. This is the revenge game, ladies and gentlemen. And if you believe that the Rams are just going to come into Highmark Stadium and steamroll these Bills, you got another thing coming. You got another thing coming. Let me get into the chat. Shout out to you, Jamie. Says, I think it makes a difference the way our guys are playing for each other. There's been an obvious change in the team's relationships. Go Bills. I agree. Says, I think if we can bottle Henry up even a little bit, we might be able to get Lamar feeling impatient. He might make that mistake. I agree. YBK says, I was impressed to see the Broncos this year. I think they made an okay move with Bo Nix and the pick in the draft. I agree. Without a doubt. That's three things that I can agree with. Bo Nix, I think he's going to be the franchise for the Broncos. And or be that franchise player for the Broncos. I don't think we've seen the last of Bo Nix. Not at all. Not at all. Jonas says my prediction is all upsets. Bills, Commanders, Rams, and Texans. All four teams show up and play their butts off to get the win. Bills will get to host an AFC Championship game and the NFC game to game be play. Interesting. Jonas is going with me on the Bills today. I don't know how I feel about that. Shout out to you, Sassy. Let's go, Jamie. Mark says Henry is the wild card. Of course. He will be the wild card. So if you know that, right? How do the Ravens adjust their game plan? How do the Ravens adjust their play scheme if we know that Henry is going to be the X factor? We know that they're going to try to use Henry to really move that ball, right? Would you go with the obvious and would you say, well, you got to stop him? Or do you alter that game plan and do you make Lamar run a little bit more and use Henry as a decoy? Right? Because I'm thinking of it from a point of, okay, if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I know that Sean McDermott is going to try to create the best defensive scheme for Derrick Henry, right? You know you got to deal with both, but who gets the most touches when it comes to the run design? It's a good question. Shout out to you, James. Good morning, man. Good morning to you. You know, I think that's a big thing coming into, this kind of situation, because at the end of the day, if it becomes very easy to spot, right? If it becomes too predictable, then I think that works in the Bills' favor. So we'll see what obviously, Jim Harbaugh comes up with, but I'm taking the Bills by 14. This is the revenge game. Obviously, let me know what you guys think in the chat as we keep it going. We keep it going. So next up, ladies and gentlemen, as we keep it going here, Commanders Lions. Now this one is very tricky, right? The reason why it's tricky is because David Montgomery's back. We'll get into that story a little bit later. But as we touch on, predictions for this, the Commanders looked very, very interesting against the Buccaneers. Now, we know the Bucs have a good defense, right? Good defense, good offense. And so this game turned into one of probably the best games in the wild card round. Commanders move on. They win by 3, heading into the Lions' den, pun intended. Heading into the Lions' den against Detroit. And, I think they're coming in with a little bit of momentum, right? I think they're coming in with a little bit of surprise. And my question is this game for Jaden Daniels exactly where CJ Stroud was last year? It's a good question, right? Is it exactly where CJ Stroud is, right? You win a game, you move further into the playoffs, and then you end up against a juggernaut. And then you got to, really ball out and really, really go out there and put the cape on and win. And I think that's what this game is for Daniels. You got to put that cape on. If you're going to take these Commanders to a championship, you got to put that cape on because you're up against the big bad bully. You're up against the juggernaut. You're up against Jared Goff, St. Brown, Laporta, Sonic and Knuckles. Because at this point, if you're going to do it, if you're going to make a name for yourself in this league, this is the game. We know you good. We know you got talent. We see you balling for Washington. But this is the game that you make the name for yourself. You've shown up. You've balled. We've seen that you can go out there and do all these great things. But can you do it in Detroit and what is going to be the biggest game for you this year? We thought last game was big. This is the one. If you can get past the big bad bully, you might very well go on to the Super Bowl. So let's go ahead and get into this one. As far as the spread, Lions are favored by 9.5. The over-under is 55.5. The money line for the Commanders is plus 380, minus 550. As far as the matchup predictor, 27%, y'all. No faith in the Commanders. 73% for the Lions coming into this one. And if we just look at, obviously, the season leaders, Daniels was 331 of 480 for 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Jared Goff was 390 of 539, 4,629, 37 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. When we just talk about a level of production, you look at Jared Goff's numbers and you have to ask yourself, well, why is Jared Goff not in the MVP conversation? Well, you look at the opportunities and the production between Burrow, Goff, Lamar, Allen, all these individuals, Patrick Mahomes. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. But why isn't Jared Goff in the MVP conversation? Solid numbers. Solid numbers. Shout out to you, Jonas. I'll get to you guys in a second. And you look at Daniels as far as on the rushing side of things, 891, 6 touchdowns. Gibbs, 1,412 yards, 16 touchdowns. What a individual to pick up where David Montgomery left off. Hey, I know we don't got Montgomery, but I'm gonna do what I do best. We don't got to be in tandem anymore. I can do this. I can take it over. I am unstoppable. And, this is going to be a real big problem for the Commanders because now you've got Montgomery back. Now you've got Montgomery and Gibbs to deal with. And so that's going to be a lot of pressure to wear down the defense. And so at some point, the defense will break. And the question is, have they given you enough time or have you put up enough points to make this thing close and try to keep it close? On the flip side, can you bring that pressure? Can you find a way to get Jared Goff? Because I feel, this is the kind of situation where you're going to need a little bit of luck on your side if you're the Commanders. Hugely an underdog coming into Detroit. It's not just about talent. It's going to be about heart. It's going to be about some luck. It's going to be about, making Dan Gamble make some mistakes as far as coaching wise, right? We love, you love to go for it on 4th and 1. Can we get a stop? Can we get a turnover on downs? These are the kind of things as far as in this situation that we're going to be looking at when it comes to the Commanders having a chance, if any, coming into this game. Definitely going to be a tall task for sure. And as much as it sounds good, I love the story. I love, the opportunity that the Commanders have, but it's hard. It's very hard to say that, the Lions are going to lose this game. And even if it is a close one, there's so many opportunities for the Lions to find a way to score. With that said, I would have to go with the Lions. I will have to, I'd be okay taking those points just because, like I said, there's so many options. There's so many ways for the Lions to move down the field and score. And that defense is balling. We've seen how physical this defense can be. And so, I'm not saying that Daniels is Sam Darnold because he's not, but this defense is very physical. They hit hard. They play very, very well. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to be, like I said, a tall task for Jaden Daniels coming into this one. But let me know what you guys think in the chat. As we break this one down. YBK says, but Jared Goff has multiple weapons this season with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And on the receiving side of things, they have Amon, Ross St. Brown, Williams, Reynolds, Laporta. Listen, it gets real. And that's why I said it's very hard to say that this Commanders defense can, get some significant stops against this team. Maybe they can, right? Maybe they can get a couple. Not a lot, but maybe a couple, right? Maybe a couple's just enough to keep this close. But on the flip side, that Lions defense, Jaden Daniels is going to have a hard time getting that run going, hard time, finding these guys, Ertz, McLaurin. It's going to be tough. They're going to lock down as number one and, force them to try and get out that pocket and make a play. And that's where it's going to get real. That's where it's going to become risky for Daniels to figure things out. And this will be the game, probably the biggest game of his career up until this point. And we'll just have to see how he responds. I got the Lions, though. I'll take them by the points. That's where I'm at. Let me hop into the chat. Shout out to DJ Jeans says I might be smoking a brisket this weekend. Let's go. Okay. I like it. Definitely an uphill battle. I agree. Next year is going to be impressive for Bo Nix because I did the research. He has had his fair share with Burrow in college. Okay. I like it. Darth says every Bills win this season have been games I've had in my LED lights matching the color behind the Bills logo on TV. Crazy coincidence. Well, make sure that you have them lights going this weekend because the Bills are definitely going to need it for sure. Shout out to y'all. Make sure you hit that like, hit that thumbs up as we keep it going. So we got through your Rams, your Eagles. We got through the Commanders versus the Lions. And then we've got through your Bills and the Ravens. Next up, Kansas City Chiefs and the Texans and the Chiefs. What is the expectation? Let's get into this one. Before we do, take a quick sip of your coffee, tea, water, whatever you got. As we get into it. All right. Texans versus Kansas City. Now, Texans coming off of a strong win. Heading into this one, I think for me, this is all about CJ Stroud's staple with the Texans. This is all about the heart and the commitment and being a leader of this team. This is all about the growth moment, right? Can you overcome the adversity of what is the Super Bowl champion and the Chiefs. You lost Tank Dell. You don't have Stephon Diggs. The question is, at this point, what are you going to do to overcome the problems and the issues that come with this game? Because I'll tell you this, I think if you're the Texans, you definitely got some nerves coming into this one. This is the AFC's big bad bully. We love to talk about the Ravens and the Bills, sure. But the reality is this is the AFC's big bad bully, and now the Texans are playing them in Arrowhead. Let's get into it. Spread is Chiefs by 8. Over-under is 41.5, plus 360 on the money line for the Texans, minus 500 on the money line for the Chiefs. 37.3% for the Texans, 62.7% for the Chiefs at home. Now, you've had a situation where Patrick Mahomes and this offense has been able to rest and relax. Mahomes just had another child. Congratulations to Patrick Mahomes. So he's been relaxing, enjoying the family, taking some time to heal up. Hunt, Kelsey, Hollywood Brown should be back. This team is very, very skilled in what they do as far as being in these significant moments. Patrick Mahomes, that magic, right? That magic that he brings to the game, that magic that he has in Arrowhead when it all matters. And then when we look at the opportunity for Andy Reid to coach such a team and create a well-oiled machine has been nothing short of a masterclass that we've witnessed time and time again. DeAndre Hopkins as well, another name, shout out to you, DJ Gene, that we look at coming into this one. So once again, we're looking at another team that has so many weapons, right? So many weapons, so much opportunity. And do you have the defense to stop them? Do you have the defense to go out there and make a strong play? Do you have the defense that can get Patrick Mahomes, that can stop him and bring that pressure to have him make mistakes? That's where we're at. That's the opportunity. Does your defense have it in them to make the stops, to get Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable where he's most comfortable, and stop him in these significant moments that you need to? So when we look at, third down, this is where Patrick Mahomes has shined. 3rd and long, 3rd and 13, 3rd and 15. Oh, yeah, they'll stop him. They'll stop him, right? We'll lock up the secondary. Nobody's out there. Patrick Mahomes is like, all right, cool. I can't get to Kelsey. I can't get to Gray. I can't get Rice. All right, cool. I'll run. I'll pick up 16 yards and get the first down. And as a defense, that's demoralizing. You've got everybody locked up out there, but Patrick Mahomes runs for 16 yards and gets the first down. Nobody could touch him. Nobody could stop him. That is going to be the biggest issue for a team like the Texans. And, if you can find a way to get those stops, that's going to be the determination of how this game will go. If you allow Patrick Mahomes to sit in that pocket forever, have all the time in the world to make a play, he's going to find a way to score. He's going to find a way to get his team down the field and score. Now, on the flip side, the Chiefs have been winning these low-scoring games. 20, 19, 22, 23. So if you're the Texans, hey, your offense needs to ball out. Chiefs have a strong defense as well. 100%. Championship defense, ready to go. They're going to hold you. They're going to get some solid stops. Can your offense put up 30 points? Can your offense put up 28? That is going to be the conversation come this weekend. Can this Texans offense put up enough points to beat the Chiefs at their own game? Because I'll tell you this, if you can put up the offense, we know that the Chiefs have not been able to put up a whole lot of touchdowns. Andy Reid has won the game of time of possession. Time of possession, making sure Patrick Mahomes has the ball at the end of the game. So if we're down, all right, we're going to march down the field and get the score needed to win. Or if we're up, we got the ball in our hand, we just need to run out the clock and get out of here with the win. That is going to be the situation. So guess what? At the end of the game, we know that Patrick Mahomes is going to have the ball in his hand. Are you up by 2 scores? Or are you up by a field goal? That is going to be determination. So you want to say, all right, the Texans have an opportunity of winning? Sure, they got to put up the points. Going into the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, the Texans, if they're going to win this game, they need to be up by 2 possessions. They need to be up by 2 possessions. As we get into the chat. Shout out to you, Tatico. Says, good morning, Jay. Patrick is always ready for these moments. 100%. 100%. Philip says 17-13 Texans calling for the upset. All right. All right. Says it's crazy. The NFL has all these elite athletes as quarterbacks when we got Mahomes and his dad bod that always wins. not the dad bod. But back to it. As far as the opportunity for the Texans, you have to keep scoring. You have to limit your mistakes and you have to keep scoring. We already know what the Chiefs are going to do. The question is, do you have the game plan to stop it? Because you can go back and watch the tape. You can look at the time possession, how long they hold the ball for. You can look at what Chris Jones and his defense is doing. Snead, all these boys in the secondary. This is going to be the game where you have to run it up as much as possible. Because if you don't, and you keep it a close game, you already know what to expect, and you already know how this goes. And then guess what? Patrick Mahomes is right back where he normally is, AFC Championship, ready to go back to another Super Bowl. And that's the narrative. So, Texans fans, what's going to happen? What is CJ Stroud going to do with this team to get them over the hump, to put up the points needed to win? You're talking execution, you're talking well coached, you're talking ready, and you're talking limiting your mistakes. Remove the emotion out the game. You focus. You have to have the heart, not just the talent. You have to have the heart and the energy to go out there and get a win against these Chiefs. You're gonna have to have it all, and you're gonna have to put it all on the field. Now, with that said, my prediction. I got to go Chiefs. I got to go Chiefs because I'm not sure that I liked what I seen out of the Texans. Sure, they got the win, but unfortunately for me, CJ Stroud didn't do enough. He didn't do enough, as we'll get into it. We'll get into it. So they obviously got the win against the Chargers, but I think it was more so the defense than CJ Stroud. 64.9 QBR, 66.7 completion percentage, 282 passing yards, 1 touchdown. As we look at it, it was, let me just go back here to the box score. All right, 282, 8.5 on the average, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times for 21 yards. QBR was 64.9. Collins, 7 receptions, 122 yards. Now, why did I only bring that up? I don't want to talk about Hutchinson, Stover, Mitchie. Why am I bringing up Nico Collins? Because he was so heavily reliant on Nico Collins because guess what? I don't got Tank Dell. I don't got Stephon Diggs. All I have is Nico Collins. So if I'm Andy Reid, I'm taking that away. I'm going to force you to move the ball around. And I know you don't have the chemistry with all these other guys that you would with the Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Stephon Diggs. I know that you could trust them. I know that you haven't worked as much with Hutchinson and Stover and Mitchie. Yeah, these guys have made plays. Schultz, sure, you made plays. But you have a bigger impact with Collins. So can you have that same kind of game with these other individuals? Because I feel like Dalton Schultz is kind of a missed opportunity because he balled out with the Cowboys. Now we get that, it's not the prime days. I get it, but the man still got hands and can still make plays. So I want to see the ball in his hand more than 2 for 23. The man averaged 11.5. Long was 14. He had 4 targets. Caught it 2 times for 23 yards. Get this man the ball more. And so that's why I say when you come into a game like this, is your coaching ready? Is everyone going to be utilized? Are you going to be able to mix it up? Or are you so focused on a couple individuals that you're going to need to rely on to make a play? And then when they get taken away, you're now done. The game is done because you don't have chemistry built with anyone else, and you can't have anyone else make plays for you. You're out throwing a limb because your best WR1 and your WR1 is locked up and your WR2 is not on the field. And unfortunately for you, you've now got to figure it out because you haven't built the chemistry needed as a complete team. So I'm going to be going with the Chiefs because due to that fact. I think the Chiefs defense will have these guys locked up and make it difficult for CJ Stroud to get really any good offense going. So I will take the Chiefs in a close one, and I'm going to say by 7. I'll say Chiefs by 7. So George says, I smell an injury in this game. I mean, that's pretty easy, right? There's always injuries in the games. Says George is hoping someone gets hurt so the Bills have a chance if they win. Why? Why? We don't want to see anybody hurt. We want people to ball out, do their thing, have fun. I don't want to see nobody hurt. And the reason why, number one, I don't want to see anybody injured. Number two, I don't want it to be used as an excuse. That's the first thing people use as an excuse. Oh, we lost because this person was injured and this person was down, and you guys wouldn't have won if he was in, and you guys wouldn't have been able to do this if he was in. Well, all right. That's why I don't want anybody to be injured. I want all players out on the field, no matter what game it is. That way we're not getting into the conversation of, well, this person was out and this and that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. We don't praise injuries around here. We don't do that. We want people to be fully healthy. We want to have a good game. We want everybody to be on that field that's supposed to be. Unfortunately, if you've got, a season-ending injury, I understand it. I get it. You're already out. If you'd have made it to this point, you in the playoffs, and you out there on that field, it's go time. It's go time. There's no excuses. I don't want to hear nothing about how, this person was out and this, that, and the third. The people that are in the game now supposed to go out there and win. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Jamie says, don't want to see any injuries, and the Bills already beat the Chiefs, so it's not an issue. I don't think the Ravens or the Bills are worried about the Chiefs. I think the Ravens and the Bills are worried about the Ravens and the Bills. And once that's figured out, whoever moves on from that game, which will be the Bills, will go on and beat the Chiefs at home in the AFC Championship for the Super Bowl. I said it. And I stand on it. DJ James says Arrowhead is going to be loud. 100%. For sure. Beat them at their strongest, so there is no question who is better. An anime fan's motto. Right? Go ahead and power up. I'm a power up too, and I'm going to beat you at your best. Beat you at your best. One game at a time. I agree. Says I like the Texans because you gave them no chance. I mean, I gave them a chance. I said this is what they need to do to go out there and ball out and win. I didn't just completely write them off. I just said that I don't think that CJ Stroud is gonna have enough to get the job done. I think that defense is gonna lock things up for him, really disrupt that passing game, and it's gonna be a situation where he's forced to try to make things happen instead of letting things develop, and I think that's where the problems are gonna happen. So But I will say this. If the man can rise to the occasion, if he can get out there and do exactly what I said needs to be done, right? Put up the points needed to win consistently, limit those mistakes, I think the Texans got a solid chance. But if they can't stop Mahomes, if they're letting Mahomes do his thing like he always does on these 3rd and longs, we see it all the time, that's going to be your differentiating factor right there. Watching the Texans on 3rd and long when it comes to Mahomes will let us know how this game is really going to go. And there it is. There it is. Shout out to you, Brian. Good Flop says Ravens and Bills is definitely scary. 2 great teams, 2 great quarterbacks, 2 great running games. Bills need to be good. Yeah. Right? It's very, listen, I said this at the beginning of the stream. I hear the words scary, concerned, and worried. Why? People said they were scared, concerned, and worried about the Broncos. We seen how that turned out. You now have a situation where the Ravens are going into Highmark Stadium. And I look at Josh Allen as someone who's been criminally underrated, someone who has had the MVP discussion taken away from him after losing to the Rams and what would have been one of his best performances in the season. I look at Josh Allen as someone who's taken nothing and turned it into something. I look at Josh Allen hearing all the skeptics and everybody saying what the Ravens are going to do and what Derrick Henry's going to do. And I also think I see someone who's saying, okay, that's it. Okay. I'm going to show them. A simple word like okay can be a massive statement at this point. And I feel like that's what Josh Allen's saying in his head. Okay. I'm going to show them. In my house. You coming to me now. You coming to us now. And with this team I've got, with this chemistry we've built, we going to make it do what it do. We going to make it do what it do. And that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. That is the show. It is lunchtime. We'll wrap it up with 2 more comments. Says it's always hard to go to Buffalo, into Buffalo and win in December and in January, 100%. Jamie says, I don't feel scared. Our guys have earned their spot when everyone doubted their worth. I agree. So there it is. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate you all. If it's early for you, have a good morning. If you're in the afternoon like me, have a great afternoon. We'll see you guys for tomorrow morning for the morning show. Always a good time, always a good vibe. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, click that bell, turn on your notifications, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.